It's Brian Preston, the Money Guy.
This is great. This is from Dylan. Dylan says, hey, I start a new job in a month, and they offer both a 401k and a Roth 401k, but no match. How should I decide which to prioritize? I'm currently 27 years old. I think a lot of people in this position, they're starting out, they have their first job, and somebody in HR sends them an email, says, all right, here's your options. And they're like, oh, awesome. I can tell you about the number one cash crop from, Nicaragua, but I don't know anything about 401ks. Never learned that in school. What advice would you give Dylan? How would you help him figure out where his dollars should go?
Well, we always have to be careful trying to give specific advice to an individual, but it is one of those things where I think you can give some educational points so Dylan can do some more due diligence and figure out what's the best decision, because ultimately, there's so many things go into this. Your risk profile, your age, your income. And we know a few of these things. It's just like, for instance, 401k, Roth 401k. We love the traditional 401k because you get a tax deduction now. It grows tax deferred. And then you get all this compounding growth, but it does have the downside. When you pull that money out in retirement, you're going to pay income taxes at an ordinary income tax rate. The Roth, we love it because it grows completely tax-free, but it has the downside of current year contributions don't get a tax deduction. So you have to figure out, how do we balance this? We've actually, because I think a lot of content out there is scared to give you details, but we're going to go ahead and open this up. The first context clue I saw for Dylan is he says he's 27. Youth are tons of time before you actually need the resources and assets in retirement, lends to itself that you love compounding growth. There's a reason we talk about 88 times over. $1 that a 21-year-old could save on their beer instead of this could, by the time they're 66, be worth $88. Think about the fact if that's completely tax-free. You put $1 in, you get 88 out. That's $87 worth of growth that would be completely tax-free. That's going to put a tick mark in the Roth IRA column, because, man, if I can let that money grow completely tax-free, that's super powerful. The second thing is, I'm going to just stereotype off of our lives. When you're in your 20s, that's probably the poorest I've been, and the fact that once I got out of college, I wasn't making as much money. I wasn't in my peak earning years that you are in your 40s and 50s. So more than likely, probably you're in a lower tax bracket. Lower tax brackets also favor the Roth IRAs, because remember I told you Roth 401ks, Roth accounts don't get a tax deduction when you put the money in, but they grow tax-free. That's a big deal if you're in the tippity top tax bracket of 37, or maybe you live in a state like California where you have a 13% income tax. That's a 50-cent savings even on your contributions. It's like your government's funding half of it. But if you're young and your income is not in peak earning years, it's okay that you don't get a tax deduction now. So that's why we always try to give the guidance that pay attention to your age, how long before you need the money, what your income currently is, because that impacts his taxes. Because unlike what Tony Robbins said in one of our most recent videos, if you structure this right, if you're in peak earning years now, high income situation, hopefully in retirement with a 3-bucket strategy, you can pull money out at a lower tax bracket in retirement. So we always say 25% below on your tax rates, combine your federal and state. Roth probably favors you. 25 to 30%, you're in that gray zone. 30% and beyond, and looking at your goals, maybe you ought to really look hard at the traditional side of things.
I may have missed it at the beginning, and if I did, I apologize. Did you mention the resource? Because one of the things that I would mention for Dylan, right, as he's thinking about how to approach it, where to put his dollars, is to go check out the free resource, moneyguy.com/resource. Did you say that at the beginning?
No.
So if you go to moneyguy.com/resource, we have our food deliverable. Brian, will you hold up and shake and make some noise?
Let's make some noise.
And it's the 9 tried and true steps of what should I do with my dollars. Everything that Brian just described is sort of distilled into these 9 steps. Now, if you want to do a deeper dive, go check out learn.moneyguy.com. We have an entire course course that walks you through basically an instruction manual for how to build your army of dollar bills. If you've not checked that out, I would encourage you to do that because it will give you the steps necessary to move from where you are today to where you ultimately want to be on your financial journey.
I've been following in the comments. A lot of people are asking like employee stock purchase plans and other things. Where does that fall in the FOO?
Yep.
I'm like, the course covers all
course
that.
covers
we
that.
really
It's in the
did
course.
try to think of everything that you could come across in your financial life to accelerate your journey.
I'm going to go on a sidebar. Daniel, I don't know if you're going to record this or not, but if you do, it's fine. One of the things we did, right, is we recorded the course and we released it, and you guys bought it and you thought it was amazing. You said, hey, I love it, but what about this? What about this? What about this? What about this? Probably 6 months after we released it, we went back and answered all those what about thises, and we dumped it into the course. So the course actually grew. It was like an over-the-air update for a Tesla. So all of that information is in there now. So if you've not checked it out, go check out learn.moneyguide.com, and you'll have the initial plus all the stuff we added based on your feedback.
That's great.
You like that Tesla?
I did. I like that. Made me smile.